you ever noticed how loud the world has become? Everyone's posting, talking, sharing, showing, as if silence means failure. But real success doesn't make noise. It builds quietly, step by step, while the world is busy watching someone else. The truth is simple. The strongest people are not the ones who shout the loudest. They're the ones who show up when no one's watching. They're the ones who do the work in the dark and let their results shine in the light. This audiobook is about that kind of power, the quiet kind, the kind that grows in peace, far away from validation, far away from noise. It's about learning to work in private and win in public, because your silence can be your greatest strength if you know how to use it. Welcome. You're here because you want to grow, not just to look successful, but to become successful. You're not here for empty motivation. You're here to understand something deeper, something that separates people who talk from people who transform. This journey isn't about perfection. It's about patience. It's about choosing discipline over display. It's about building a life that doesn't need to be explained, because it shows. So take a deep breath. Let go of the need to prove anything. And as we move through this audiobook, remember, you don't have to be seen to be valuable. You just have to keep moving, one quiet step at a time. Chapter 1. The Power of Working in Silence. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, where every moment is posted, shared, and judged, there exists a different kind of strength, the strength of silence. A strength that doesn't come from loud announcements or constant validation, but from quiet focus and consistent effort. Silence, not the absence of sound, but the presence of discipline, the kind that builds unshakable confidence when no one is watching. Most people today live in performance mode. They wake up thinking not just about what they'll do, but about how it will look to others. Every action becomes a display, every thought the statement, every small achievement something to be shown. And yet, despite all the visibility, most people feel unseen, because noise doesn't create meaning, it only creates distraction. The truth is, when you talk too much about your plans, your goals, your dreams, you start to lose power. Every time you speak your ambitions out loud before they're real, you get a small taste of satisfaction, a false sense of accomplishment. People may cheer you for your intentions, but your brain gets tricked. It starts believing you've already done something significant. And so your drive weakens, your hunger fades, and what could have been action becomes empty talk. That's why the most powerful people rarely announce what they're doing. They don't seek attention, they seek mastery. They're not addicted to the feeling of being noticed. They're addicted to the process of becoming better. When you choose to work in silence, you shift your focus from presentation to progress. You stop wasting energy trying to impress others and start investing it in actually improving yourself. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. Sometimes it's painfully repetitive, but it's real. And real work always leaves results behind, even if no one is clapping for you in the moment. There is something sacred about private effort. Those early mornings when the world is still asleep. Those late nights when everyone else has already stopped trying. Those moments test your truth. They show you whether your motivation was for the camera or for your own growth. When you work in silence, you build a relationship with yourself. You stop performing for approval, and you start trusting your own pace. You learn patience, you learn endurance. You learn the art of showing up even when nothing around you feels exciting. And slowly, something inside you begins to change. You become grounded, calm, steady. You stop needing instant results because you've learned that the process itself is making you stronger. There's a kind of confidence that grows in quiet people, the ones who are consistent, who show up daily without an audience. Their strength doesn't come from praise, it comes from proof, from knowing that they've put in the hours, from feeling the weight of their own discipline. That confidence is quiet, but it's unshakable. It doesn't need to shout because it's real. Let others announce their goals. Let them post their progress. Let them collect likes for promises they haven't yet kept. You, on the other hand, stay still. Because while they're performing, you're progressing. While they're talking, you're transforming. And when the time comes, when your results begin to show, when your skills speak louder than your words ever could, the world will have no choice but to notice. Not because you asked for attention, but because your growth demanded it. The world always sees the result. It rarely sees the repetition that created it. They'll call it talent or luck, but you'll know the truth, that it was silence, patience, and consistency that built it. There's a discipline that can only be developed when no one is clapping for you, when the only validation you receive is from the mirror, the reflection that asks, "Did you give your best today?" In those quiet moments, you discover what you're truly made of. You learn that discipline is not punishment, it's freedom. Freedom from distractions. Freedom from other people's timelines. Freedom from the pressure to perform. Silence gives you space to grow without interference. It protects your vision before it's ready to be seen. It keeps your dreams safe from the noise of doubt and the opinions of those who can't see what you see. Because not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will see the value of what you're building in the dark, and that's okay. It's not their responsibility to understand. It's yours to keep going anyway. When you work in silence, you realize something powerful. That progress isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't announce itself every step of the way. It grows quietly, like roots beneath the ground, building strength in the unseen places, and when it finally surfaces, it's unstoppable. So if you're in that silent phase right now, the one where it feels like nothing's changing, where you're showing up but no one's noticing, where the results are slow and invisible, please, don't quit. You are in the most important part of your journey. This is the part that shapes you. This is the part that builds your character. This is the part that separates the dreamers from the doers. Every unnoticed day matters. Every quiet hour counts. Every unseen effort is adding up. Keep your head down. Keep your faith strong. Keep your focus locked. Because one day, when your results finally appear, when your transformation becomes visible, when your life begins to shift in ways even you didn't expect, you'll look back and realize that the silence was never empty. It was preparing you. The day will come when people ask, "What changed? How did you do it? What happened to you?" And you'll smile because you'll know it didn't happen suddenly. It didn't happen overnight. It happened in silence. It happened in the discipline they didn't see. In the mornings you didn't post about. In the sacrifices you never explained. In the effort you gave when no one was watching. Real growth doesn't need to shout. It simply appears, calm but undeniable. So stop chasing validation. Stop explaining yourself. Stop announcing every step. Instead, protect your peace, protect your focus, protect your purpose. Let your actions speak in time. Let your consistency be your proof. Let your success be the loudest thing about you. Because silence isn't weakness, it's power. And when your silence finally speaks, the whole world will listen. Work quietly. Shine naturally. Speak only through your results. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Validation, the Hidden Trap of Approval. Validation feels good. There's no denying it. When someone notices your effort, praises your work, or acknowledges your progress, it lights something inside you. It feels like momentum. It feels like growth. But often, it's not. It's a trick your mind plays. Every time you announce a goal, your brain releases a small burst of pride, as if the job were already done. You post your dream, you tell your friends, you say, "I'm going to start this new thing." People respond, "That's amazing. You'll do great. So proud of you." And in that moment, your brain rewards you, even though you haven't taken a single real step yet. You get satisfaction without substance, comfort without commitment, progress without movement. That's where most people stop. They start talking instead of building. They become addicted to the illusion of effort, the applause that comes from words instead of results. Period. The subtle addiction we don't notice. Validation is sweet, but it's also dangerous. Because once you start depending on it, your motivation is no longer yours. It belongs to someone else. If they respond, you feel proud. If they don't, you feel invisible. If they praise you, you feel powerful. If they stay silent, your confidence starts to fade. Your energy becomes a reflection of other people's reactions. And the scariest part? You don't even realize it's happening. Soon, you're not chasing progress. You're chasing attention. You're not working for your growth. You're working for approval. And every time you wait for someone to notice you before you move, you lose time, energy, and control. Freedom begins where validation ends. Real growth begins the day you stop chasing validation. The day you tell yourself, even if nobody claps, I'm still doing it. That's the day you take your power back. Because when your effort is driven by something deeper, purpose, self-respect, inner peace, you become unstoppable. You don't slow down when people stop watching. You don't quit when there's silence around you. You keep going because your why is bigger than their attention span. The truth is, attention fades. Always. People have short memories. They move on. They get busy. They forget. But your consistency, your habits, your discipline, they stay. Attention gives you a moment of pride. Discipline gives you a lifetime of growth. From performing to transforming. When you build in private, something powerful happens. You stop performing and start transforming. You no longer ask, who's watching? You start asking, how far can I go? You no longer wait for feedback to feel worthy. You start creating results that speak louder than feedback ever could. That's the beauty of silent work. It replaces applause with authenticity. You don't fake effort. You don't exaggerate progress. You just build, quietly, repeatedly, honestly. And one day, when the results finally show, they speak for you. Validation versus vision. Validation says, I hope they like this. Vision says, I know why I'm doing this. Validation depends on reaction. Vision depends on reason. When you live for validation, you lose direction the moment people stop cheering. But when you live for vision, you keep walking, even when the road is empty. Because your purpose is enough to guide you. That's how real builders, creators, and dreamers win. Not because people believed in them, but because they believed in themselves long before anyone else did. Closing reflection. So the next time you feel unseen, don't panic. The next time no one praises you, don't stop. Silence doesn't mean failure. It means focus. No validation doesn't mean no progress. It means private progress. The work you do in silence is shaping a version of you that doesn't need approval to feel alive. And one day, when your results speak, everyone will listen. Because effort doesn't need an audience. It only needs you. Chapter 3. The Discipline of Daily Action. The real difference between wishing and winning. Discipline, a small word, but the line that separates wishful thinking from lasting change. Everyone dreams of success. Everyone wants transformation. But very few people want to repeat small, ordinary actions every single day, even when nobody notices. Because motivation is easy. Discipline is rare. Motivation gives you excitement. Discipline gives you results. It's simple to start something when you're inspired, but it takes power, real, inner power, to continue when inspiration fades. The silent weight of repetition. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not something you post about. It's the quiet grind that nobody claps for. The 5 a.m. mornings, the lonely hours, the repetition that builds muscle and mindset one small step at a time. Discipline is waking up early when comfort tells you to stay in bed. It's showing up for your goals when you're tired, bored, or doubting yourself. It's doing what matters when no one else cares if you do. Every single day, you repeat the right habits. You're shaping a version of yourself that cannot be stopped. And even if the world doesn't notice it yet, you're becoming stronger, sharper, calmer, and more resilient. The slow beauty of real progress. Most people want fast results. They want transformation in a week, success in a month, and peace without patience. But real progress doesn't happen on your schedule. It happens on life's schedule. Growth is slow. It's invisible at first. It happens like roots beneath the ground, unseen, unnoticed, but always growing stronger. And then one day, that growth breaks the surface, and suddenly, it looks like an overnight success. But it wasn't overnight. It was built in silence, day after day, when no one was watching. That's the beauty of discipline. It compounds quietly. Every workout, every study session, every chapter read, every journal entry written in the dark. It all adds up, slowly, silently, powerfully. Discipline versus motivation. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is logical. Motivation says, I'll do it when I feel like it. Discipline says, I'll do it because it matters. If you only act when you're inspired, you'll never reach your potential. Because inspiration fades fast, but discipline stays even when you're tired, even when you're unsure, even when the results are not visible yet. And those days, the boring days, the tiring days, the lonely days, those are the ones that count the most. Because that's when you prove to yourself that you're serious. The compound effect of consistency, discipline, is like gravity. It pulls everything in your life into order. Your thoughts, your habits, your energy. The small actions you repeat daily don't just change what you do, they change who you are. You start trusting yourself more. You start respecting your own effort. And that's the quiet power of discipline. It doesn't just create results, it builds identity. When you stay consistent long enough, the things that once felt impossible become natural. Waking up early becomes normal. Saying no to distractions becomes easy. Working on your craft becomes automatic. That's how winners are made. Not in moments of applause, but in the silent mornings, the late nights, and the endless repetition no one ever sees. Final reflection. So stop waiting for the perfect day, the perfect plan, or the perfect motivation. Start now. Start small. Start even when it feels uncomfortable. Because progress doesn't come from big dramatic moves. It comes from small steps, repeated daily, for months and years. And when you look back, you'll realize something powerful. That every small action, every quiet effort, every disciplined choice built the life you always wanted. The process may be silent, but the results, they will be loud. Discipline is doing it every day, even when no one's watching, even when no one's cheering, even when you don't feel like it. That's what separates the ordinary from the exceptional. Chapter 4: The Art of Being Unseen but Unstoppable. The quiet power in a loud world. In a world that constantly screams for attention, where everyone is showing, sharing, posting, and performing, there's an ancient kind of power in staying unseen. Being unseen doesn't mean you're unimportant. It means you've chosen a higher focus. It means your eyes are locked on your vision, not on validation. You're building something sacred, and sacred things are never built in noise. The quiet achievers of this world understand that progress doesn't need an audience. They don't announce every move. They don't post every plan. They don't seek permission or applause. They just build, consistently, quietly, patiently. Because they know something most people don't, that the most powerful transformations happen out of sight. Freedom in silence. When you're unseen, you're free. Free from judgment, free from pressure, free from comparison. You no longer have to perform for anyone. You don't have to justify your timeline or explain your dreams to people who can't see your vision. You simply exist in your lane, focused, intentional, calm. Every time you tell the world your next move, you give away a small piece of your power, because words can leak energy, and energy is sacred when you're in a building phase. That's why silence is not weakness, it's strategy. When you protect your silence, you protect your strength. You don't owe anyone proof of your progress. You owe yourself the discipline to finish what you started. Let them wonder. Let people wonder what you're doing. Let them doubt you. Let them whisper your name with confusion. Because someday, your results will walk into the room before you do. And your silence, that same silence they once misunderstood, will become your loudest statement. You don't have to shout to be seen. You don't have to prove to be powerful. You don't have to be loud to make an impact. Remember this: diamonds don't make noise while they're being formed. They're shaped under pressure, in darkness, in complete silence. And when the light finally finds them, they shine without trying. That's what it means to be unseen but unstoppable. The strength of invisible growth. Being unseen doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're becoming. It means you've chosen depth over display, purpose over popularity. You're doing the quiet work that nobody celebrates: reading, learning, practicing, failing, adjusting, improving. And while others are chasing attention, you're chasing alignment. That's why, when your growth finally appears, it doesn't just surprise the world, it transforms it. Because what's built in silence carries the power of patience. Becoming the person no one can ignore. One day, you'll look back and realize that your silence was never emptiness. It was incubation. It was the season that shaped your confidence, refined your vision, and made you unstoppable. You weren't hiding. You were healing. You weren't lost. You were learning. You weren't behind. You were being built. So let them think you disappeared. Let them assume you quit. Because the day you return, you won't need to speak. Your presence will say everything. Chapter 5: The Power of Improving in Silence. The Sacred Space of Silence. Silence is not emptiness. It's where transformation happens, quietly, patiently, deeply. When you're improving in silence, it may look like nothing is changing. People may assume you've slowed down or lost direction. But inside, everything is shifting. Your mindset, your habits, your perspective. Growth rarely makes noise. It whispers. It speaks through the choices you make when nobody's watching. through the habits you repeat when no one's clapping. You don't need to announce that you're changing. You just need to keep showing up for yourself, day after day. Protecting your progress. Working in silence isn't about hiding. It's about protecting your process. It's about shielding your focus from noise, distraction, and unnecessary influence. When you depend on applause, your progress becomes fragile, because the moment the applause stops, so do you. But when your drive comes from within, when your motivation is rooted in purpose instead of attention, you become untouchable. That's why silence is sacred. It keeps you connected to your inner drive. No expectations, no comparisons, just raw, honest effort. The peace of slow growth. You grow stronger when you stop rushing. You grow wiser when you stop comparing. You grow peaceful when you trust your own timing. Every small win matters. Every single day you choose effort over excuses. You are building a new version of yourself, one that doesn't need validation to move forward. Every quiet morning you show up for your dreams, even when no one's watching. That's improvement. Every late night you choose learning over comfort. That's progress. Every time you show up after failing, that's growth. Real transformation is not loud, it's patient. It's not dramatic, it's disciplined. It doesn't happen in front of an audience. It happens in the moments nobody sees. Becoming undeniable. You don't need to prove that you're growing. The results will do that for you. You don't need to post your progress. The transformation will speak louder than any update ever could. When you focus on becoming undeniable, the world eventually notices. Not because you forced them to look, but because your results became too powerful to ignore. Improvement is not a performance. It's a process. And the people who master the process are the ones who win quietly, consistently, and confidently. Mastering the silent seasons. There will be seasons when it feels like no one sees your effort. No one notices your grind. No one appreciates your consistency. But those silent seasons are where your greatness is being shaped. Those are the moments that test your patience, your purpose, your belief in yourself. If you can stay faithful when no one's watching, you're already extraordinary. Because most people only give their best when someone's looking. But you're learning to give your best regardless. And that's what makes you different. That's what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary growth. Final reflection. One day, you'll look back and smile at the quiet days, the ones where it felt like nothing was working. Because you'll realize those were the days everything was actually falling into place. You didn't just survive those silent seasons. You mastered them. And that's what turned you from someone who wanted success into someone who earned it. So stay silent, stay steady, stay strong, because silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of strength. Chapter 6. Trust your process, not the pressure. There's a rhythm to every life, and if you learn to move with yours, not against it, you'll find peace even while you're growing. You don't need to be the fastest. You just need to be the most consistent. You don't need to win today. You just need to keep moving forward today. That's what trusting the process means. You stop forcing results and start building habits. Every time you focus on your journey instead of someone else's, you take your power back. Because comparison kills confidence, and patience builds it. The truth is, most people quit, not because they're weak, but because they try to rush what takes time. They want overnight transformation, instant validation, and fast success. But the ones who truly win, they understand that slow growth is still growth. They know that every quiet step counts. They respect their journey, even when it's not glamorous. So when it feels like nothing is happening, remember this: your roots are growing deeper. Your mindset is hardening. Your foundation is forming. Progress is happening, just not in the way the world measures it. Keep building. Keep showing up. Keep trusting that your silence today is shaping your strength for tomorrow. Because when the results finally arrive, they won't be a surprise. They'll be the reflection of everything you built while no one was watching. That's what work in private, win in public truly means. You don't announce your greatness, you grow into it. There comes a phase in every journey where things go silent. No one's cheering for you. No one's checking in. No one's even noticing how hard you're trying. And that's the real test. Because this is the stage where most people quit, not because they're weak, but because it feels lonely. You're giving your best, but it's quiet. You're improving, but no one's clapping. You're fighting battles no one even knows exist. But listen, this silence is not your enemy. It's your training ground. This is where strength is built, not on the stage, not under the spotlight, but in the unseen hours, when it's just you, your dream, and your discipline. Stop waiting for validation. Stop explaining why you've been distant. You don't owe anyone a timeline or an update. Your focus should be on progress, not performance. Real growth doesn't need an audience. It needs consistency. Every single day. Even when you're tired, even when nothing seems to move, you show up, you repeat, you build, you improve. And slowly, without noise, your results start to speak. People begin to notice that something about you feels different. They won't know the hours you invested, the sacrifices you made, or the nights you doubted yourself, but they'll feel your evolution. Because transformation can't be hidden. It shows in your mindset, in your confidence, in your calm. That's what quiet effort does. It shapes you from the inside out. And one day, when your results become undeniable, people will wonder how you did it. They'll call it luck, but you'll know it wasn't luck. It was the discipline you built in silence. So don't lose heart if no one notices your effort. Don't stop just because progress feels invisible. Keep watering your seed. Keep building your foundation. The results will come. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but when they do, they'll speak louder than words ever could. Because that's what real success is. It's silent. It's patient. It's built when nobody's watching. And when it finally shows, it can't be ignored. Stay focused. Stay grounded. Let your work do the talking. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to keep going, one quiet step at a time. Win big without announcing a single move. Silence doesn't mean inaction. It means intention. You don't need to tell anyone what you're building. You don't have to explain your distance, your discipline, or your direction. The real ones, the ones who truly understand growth, don't broadcast their every move. They let time, effort, and consistency speak for them. We live in a world that rewards attention more than achievement. People want to be seen doing something before they've even started becoming something. They announce goals before they've taken a single step. They share their new beginnings online, chasing applause instead of progress. But here's the truth. Every time you announce your plans, your brain feels rewarded. It feels like you've already accomplished something, when in reality, you've only talked about it. That's why so many dreams die in the echo of their announcement. The power of private progress. Real progress is quiet. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't beg to be noticed. The people who move silently aren't hiding. They're building. They understand that growth requires energy, and that energy is precious. It shouldn't be wasted explaining what you're going to do. It should be invested in actually doing it. When you choose silence, you choose focus. When you choose privacy, you choose protection. Because every time you talk about your next move, you open the door for doubt, distraction, and opinions that can derail your mission. The world doesn't need to know your plans. It only needs to see your results. The illusion of attention. Think about it. How many people do you know who talk about their goals endlessly, yet never follow through? They say, "This year I'll change everything." They say, "I'm working on something big." But months later, they're still standing in the same place, still making the same noise. Why? Because they traded their effort for attention. They mistook talking about it for working on it. The silence you choose isn't weakness, wisdom. When you stop announcing your moves, you stop giving your energy away to things that don't serve your growth. You stop performing and start producing. The maturity of quiet winners. When you start growing, you begin to realize something powerful. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need applause. You don't need to explain where you're headed. That's maturity. That's focus. The loudest people often do the least. They want to be noticed before they've earned it. But the ones who are truly serious, they don't talk. They don't brag. They don't post every win online. They're busy building, learning, refining. And one day, while everyone else is still talking about potential, the quiet one walks in with results. Solid, undeniable, unstoppable. That's how quiet winners move. They don't need to shout, because their progress echoes louder than any words could. Why silence protects you. Silence isn't just a mindset, it's a shield. When people don't know your next step, they can't interfere. They can't project their fears onto your vision. They can't slow you down with doubt. Every opinion you don't hear is energy you save. Every doubt you ignore is momentum you keep. The truth is, most people can't handle your growth. Some will misunderstand it, some will envy it, and some will quietly hope you fail. That's why privacy is power, because what they don't know, they can't sabotage. Your silence isn't secrecy, it's strategy. Discipline without applause. When you're working in silence, there are no cheerleaders, no claps, no instant rewards. It's just you and your goals, you and your choices, you and your consistency. That's where the real transformation happens. In the quiet mornings when no one's watching. In the late nights when you keep going even though you're tired. In the sacrifices no one sees. That's the price of discipline, doing the work without needing the recognition. And that's why silent workers grow faster. They don't stop to explain. They don't pause to show off. They just keep moving. They build habits. They build resilience. And most importantly, they build proof. Because in the end, proof is louder than promise. When results speak, there will come a day when the results start showing, when your energy shifts, when your life begins to reflect all those quiet hours you invested. And suddenly, people will notice. They'll ask what changed. They'll wonder how you did it. But you won't need to explain anymore, because your results will say it all. You'll smile, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because you'll know you didn't just talk about it, you lived it. You'll understand that your journey didn't need to be loud to be powerful. It only needed to be real. True winning energy. When you stop performing for people, everything changes. There's no pressure to impress, no anxiety about being seen, no stress about keeping up appearances. You finally start living for you. You start focusing on who you're becoming, not how you look becoming it. You start growing for yourself, not to prove a point. And that's when your energy shifts from needing attention to commanding respect. Because true winners don't chase recognition, they attract it through consistency. They don't talk about their grind, they embody it. The inner shift. Silence doesn't just protect your process, it transforms your mindset. When you're no longer performing for others, your standards rise. You stop comparing. You stop competing. You start creating. You build confidence that doesn't depend on likes or approval. You find joy in effort, not in attention. That's when life gets powerful, because now you're not chasing validation, you're chasing mastery. Winning without noise. Winning without announcing a move is not about arrogance, it's about alignment. It's about knowing what matters and choosing not to waste energy on what doesn't. It's about quiet power, the kind that doesn't shout, but everyone feels. When you win quietly, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Your growth becomes your answer. Your peace becomes your proof. Because in the end, real success doesn't scream. It shows up with calm confidence. It doesn't need to convince. It just exists. So keep your focus tight. Keep your circle small. Keep your dreams protected. Work, build, grow. And when the results appear, let them speak. Let them echo every silent hour you invested. Let them tell the story of your patience, your focus, your resilience. Because the truth is, the quiet ones always win the loudest. Building discipline and patience. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. We all dream of success. We all say we want to grow. But very few people are ready to do what growth actually demands: patience, repetition, and silence. Discipline and patience aren't exciting words. They don't sparkle. They don't trend. But they are the quiet roots of every great story. Every person you admire, the athlete, the artist, the leader, the creator, they all mastered one thing. They showed up, even when they didn't feel like it. The truth about discipline. Most people think discipline means control. They think it means pushing yourself like a machine, without rest, without emotion. But real discipline isn't punishment. It's freedom. It's the decision to keep your promises to yourself. It's doing what needs to be done, even when the excitement fades. Motivation is temporary. It burns bright, then disappears. But discipline is the steady fire that keeps you warm through cold seasons. When you rely only on motivation, you wait for the perfect moment. But when you build discipline, every moment becomes the right one. The boring part that builds you. There's a quiet stage in every journey that nobody talks about. The boring, repetitive part. It's when the dream stops feeling shiny, when results come slowly, when it feels like nobody cares. That's the point where most people quit. They stop showing up because they think nothing's happening. But that's exactly where the magic starts. Because discipline grows in the dark, in those invisible hours when no one's watching. Every time you choose to keep going, even when it's not exciting, you're planting seeds. You may not see results yet, but the roots are growing deeper every single day. That's what makes winners. Not talent, not luck, but consistency. Small steps, massive change. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. They want overnight success. They want quick results. But mastery doesn't happen overnight. It happens over many nights. When you focus on small steps, you stop being overwhelmed by the mountain. You just take one step, then another, and suddenly you're halfway up. Discipline is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing something consistently. Even if it's small, even if it's slow, keep doing it. That's how transformation happens. Quietly, gradually, powerfully. The test of patience. Patience is the twin of discipline. You can't have one without the other. You might be disciplined for a few weeks, waking up early, working hard, but without patience, you'll get frustrated and give up too soon. Patience means trusting the process. It means believing that your effort matters, even when you can't see proof yet. Every time you feel like giving up, remember this: you're not starting over. You're still building. Progress is happening. It's just not visible yet. Think about nature. A tree doesn't grow overnight. It starts with roots. Deep, invisible, silent roots. That's you right now. You're growing in ways you can't see yet. Discipline is self-respect. When you keep your word to yourself, your confidence grows. When you say, "I'll do it," and then actually do it, you build self-trust. Most people break promises to themselves so often that they stop believing their own words. But when you choose discipline, you're teaching your mind to believe in you again. That's self-respect. Not fancy clothes or confidence speeches, but quiet consistency. The kind that says, "I'm serious about me." When you truly start respecting your own time, your own goals, your own peace, you stop wasting it on distractions. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision. That's the kind of power no one can take away. Building habits that build you. Discipline is built through small habits, not giant leaps. Here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. So ask yourself, what do I do every day? What am I repeating, consciously or unconsciously? Because your habits are writing your future. If you build habits that support your peace, your health, your growth, you win. Quietly, but completely. Start small. 10 minutes of focus. 10 pages of reading. One walk. One task. Do it daily. Do it when it's boring. Do it when nobody's clapping. Because every time you show up, your future self thanks you. Silence builds strength. There's a reason successful people love silence. It's not just peace, it's power. When you cut out noise, the gossip, the doubts, the distractions, you start hearing your own voice again. You reconnect with your purpose. Silence gives you direction. It allows you to think clearly, to breathe, to plan. When you stop trying to prove your progress accelerates. When you stop performing, you start improving. That's what discipline looks like. Calm, quiet, powerful. When it feels like nothing's working. Let's be honest. There will be days when you'll question everything. You'll feel tired, unmotivated, unseen. You'll wonder if all your effort is worth it. In those moments, remember, progress doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always feel visible. Sometimes, growth hides behind struggle. Every time you push through doubt, you strengthen your mind. Every time you stay consistent, even when results are invisible, you prove your strength to yourself. One day, you'll look back and realize, the struggle was the training. The waiting was the preparation. The patience was the foundation. The beauty of becoming. Discipline and patience don't just change your results, they change you. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop needing validation. You stop fearing slow progress. Because you finally understand, it's not about how fast you move. It's about how long you can keep going. You'll see that true success is quiet, deep, and personal. It's not measured by applause, but by alignment between your words, your actions, and your values. You'll learn to fall in love with effort, with practice, with the process. And that's when you've truly won. Because once you love the process, success becomes inevitable. Closing thought. Discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. Patience is the courage to keep walking on that bridge even when you can't see the other side. Don't rush it. Don't doubt it. Just keep showing up. Because one day, everything you worked for will stand in front of you and you'll realize it wasn't luck, it wasn't magic, it wasn't chance. It was you. Your focus, your effort, your patience. And that's a kind of success no one can take away. Transformation phase. Becoming unstoppable. You don't rise by accident. You rise by design. There comes a moment in your journey when something shifts. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, almost invisible, but you feel it deep inside. That moment when your excuses start sounding weaker and your vision starts feeling stronger. That's the beginning of transformation. The silent shift transformation doesn't happen overnight. It begins slowly, in your thoughts, your habits, your responses. You stop reacting to everything. You stop needing approval. You stop chasing validation. And instead, you start focusing on what truly matters, your growth. You begin to understand that your biggest competition isn't someone else out there. It's the old version of you. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you rise a little higher. Every time you choose consistency over excuses, you step closer to mastery. That's what transformation looks like. Quiet victories stacking up over time. The new you. You'll start noticing small changes first. Your mornings feel lighter. Your energy feels cleaner. You start respecting your own time because you've earned it. You stop explaining your decisions to people who never understood your vision. You stop overthinking what others might think. You start valuing peace more than popularity. You start walking with calm confidence, not because everything's perfect, but because you've learned how to stay steady through the storm. That's real growth. Not louder, not flashier, but stronger. The power of alignment. For a long time, your words and your actions might have been out of sync. You said you wanted change, but your habits told a different story. But now, your words, actions, and values start aligning. You no longer chase motivation. You create momentum. You no longer wait for the right moment. You make it right. You no longer need validation. You trust yourself completely. That's alignment, when everything inside you starts moving in one direction. It's powerful. It's peaceful. It's unstoppable. Because nothing is heavier than confusion, and nothing is lighter than clarity. The strength you didn't know you had. Think about all the days you didn't give up, all the times you pushed through the exhaustion, all the moments when no one saw your effort, but you kept going anyway. That's strength. That's transformation. You don't need a spotlight to prove it. You feel it in your patience. You feel it in your calmness. You feel it in how you no longer react to small things. That's the new version of you, quieter, stronger, wiser. You used to rush everything. Now you understand timing. You used to crave validation. Now you crave growth. You used to doubt yourself. Now you trust your effort. You've changed, and that's something to be proud of. The art of stillness. In a world that glorifies speed, your calm is your superpower. You've learned that stillness doesn't mean stagnation. It means focus. It means control. You no longer chase every noise, every distraction, every opportunity that looks shiny. You choose wisely. You act intentionally. You've become selective with your time, your energy, and your company, because you've realized that not everything deserves access to your peace. Stillness is the mark of mastery. It's knowing when to move and when to stay still, when to speak and when to remain silent. That balance, that calm strength, that's what makes you unstoppable. The beauty of resistance. Every struggle you faced was teaching you something. Every delay was shaping your patience. Every disappointment was building your depth. You might not have seen it back then, but every challenge was carving the version of you that stands stronger today. You learned how to fall and rise again. You learned how to lose without losing yourself. You learned how to keep faith when everything looked uncertain. And now you carry that strength quietly. You don't need to prove it. You live it. That's what unstoppable looks like. Not perfect, not loud, but resilient. From struggle to strength, you'll reach a stage where pain no longer scares you, because you've survived enough to know you can handle it. You stop running from discomfort. You start using it. Discomfort becomes your signal for growth. Every time something feels difficult, you know it's stretching you. The stronger you get, the quieter your ego becomes, because now you don't need to win arguments. You win through results. You don't need to talk about growth. You embody it. That's transformation, turning pain into power and power into peace. Redefining success. Success isn't about applause anymore. It's about alignment. It's about waking up every day knowing you're living intentionally. It's about peace, deep, satisfying peace, knowing you're not wasting your life trying to please people. Success is having control over your energy. It's being able to say no without guilt. It's being able to rest without shame. It's being able to walk away from noise without losing focus. Success is quiet now, but powerful. Becoming unstoppable. You've reached a point where quitting is no longer an option, because you've seen what persistence can do. You've seen how consistency changes everything. You've understood that slow progress is still progress. And every small effort, every quiet step, every unseen hour was preparing you for this moment. Now your habits are unshakable. Your focus is clean. Your confidence comes from evidence, from the work you've done silently. You've become unstoppable, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Closing reflection. When you look back, you'll see how far you've come, not just in your achievements, but in your mindset. You'll realize that the journey wasn't about reaching a destination. It was about becoming this version of yourself, the calm, disciplined, unstoppable you, the one who no longer needs to prove anything, the one who no longer seeks shortcuts, the one who moves with quiet power. And you'll smile, because you'll finally understand. You didn't just win in public. You earned it in private. That's the transformation, not just of success, but of self. The ending message. Win in public, work in private. And in the end, the loudest victory is the one that needs no announcement. You've come a long way, from doubt to discipline, from noise to silence, from chasing validation to building peace. What started as a dream has slowly become your reality, not because of luck, but because of the unseen effort you've invested when no one was watching. The circle of growth. Every journey begins with ambition, but only continues with consistency. You might have started because you wanted success, but now you stay consistent because you found purpose. That's growth. That's evolution. You've realized that your dreams don't demand noise. They demand effort. They don't require approval. They require faith. And faith is not about seeing the whole staircase. It's about taking the next step, even when no one believes in you. The truth about winning. Winning in public isn't about applause or attention. It's about walking with quiet confidence, knowing that your preparation was stronger than your excuses. The truth is, every great story is written in private. Every masterpiece is built behind closed doors. Every transformation happens in silence, far away from the spotlight. Because the spotlight doesn't build you, the struggle does. The unseen work, the sleepless nights, the patience, the persistence. That's where the real win begins. The final reminder: you don't have to rush. You don't have to prove. You just have to stay consistent. Let your actions make the noise. Let your results do the talking. Let your growth speak for itself. Because real success doesn't need validation. It radiates naturally. You don't owe the world an explanation for your silence. Silence is not weakness. It's power under control. When you rise, stay grounded. When the recognition finally comes, and it will come, stay humble. Remember the late nights when no one was clapping for you. Remember the failures that taught you more than success ever could. Remember the discipline that built your foundation. Gratitude will keep you grounded. Patience will keep you growing. And silence will keep you powerful. Because arrogance destroys faster than failure ever could. Stay kind. Stay hungry. Stay silent. Until it's time to speak with your results. Your legacy. In the end, people won't remember how loud you were. They'll remember how consistent you were. They'll remember the peace in your presence. They'll remember the calm confidence in your voice. That's legacy. Not about fame, but about impact. Your journey becomes a message. Your silence becomes strength. Your growth becomes inspiration. And someone out there watching you quietly rise will find the courage to start their own journey because of you. That's how change spreads, not through noise, but through example. A final word to the listener. If you're listening right now, this is your reminder. You are enough. You are capable. You are becoming something greater than you can see right now. Don't quit because the world isn't clapping yet. Clap for yourself. Trust the process. Keep working. Because someday, when everything falls into place, you'll look back and realize every silent effort, every lonely night, every unseen moment of discipline was building this version of you. You didn't lose time. You were growing roots. You were building strength. You were preparing for your moment. So when that moment comes, rise with grace, win quietly, and remember, the world sees your success, but only you know your silence. Win in public, work in private. That's not just a quote. That's a lifestyle. That's peace. That's power. That's you.